So Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War recently ended with its second core of its adaptation of the manga, and I think that Studio Period is doing a fantastic job. Music is great, animation is extremely clean, and there are some neat additions to the story that were not originally in the manga. All in all, fantastic adaptation. But with today's video, I want to briefly discuss the protagonist of Bleach and one of the most iconic characters in shonen, and arguably one of the faces of anime Mount Rushmore itself, Ichigo Kurosaki. Now, I do want to preface this video by saying upfront that I definitely do enjoy Ichigo as a character and as a lead for Bleach. I think he fits the role quite nicely, and there are tons of narrative moments that benefit from his ideals and mindset as an individual. Watch some kid in my comments talk some shit like, Daffy, you're a hater, you can't talk about my goat Ichigo, he clears your top 5. Listen, man, I don't give a flying. Today I wanted to air out some of my grievances with Ichigo's power set and the many things that just kind of pissed me off involving him. So let me explain something. I can't speak for other people, but for myself, I hate natural talent in stories. When it pertains to protagonists in particular, it really cheapens the experience for me. Now, when it comes to an antagonist or a rival, I kind of give it a pass because I want to root for the protagonist to surpass them, obviously. I want them to surpass their own limits. I want them to work as hard as they can to achieve a higher level of mastery over certain skills. Take, for example, Naruto and his mastery of the summoning jutsu, or learning the Rasengan. Naruto had a massive amount of chakra reserves, but he still struggled with learning these very fine and intricate techniques. When Naruto was training to develop the Rasen Shuriken, he and his clones applied the same training to themselves so they could speed up the process. I actually loved that part of the story. It felt as if there was a struggle to the training, that his techniques truly felt like Naruto's. Y'all ever notice how every time I bring up like good story beats that were, you know, done very well and writing techniques that I love, I bring up Naruto? I wonder why. I wonder why. Now, let me get this straight immediately. I am fully aware of the training that Ichigo has gone through. I am aware of the training that Ichigo has gone through the series. Trust me, I get it. I know. Like with Urahara, he trained to harness his spiritual energy and regain his powers. The Visors trained Ichigo to control his inner hollow, and Zangetsu helps Ichigo immensely through the series, and, you know, with the holification and Bankai training, whatever. Even Genjo's folks helped Ichigo during the whole Fullbring situation. I mean, Squad Zero also made Ichigo probably like, you know, top 2 in the series, you know what I mean? While yes, Ichigo did struggle with all of these to different lakes and effects, I'm not saying that he didn't have varying degrees of difficulty to learn some things. That's not what I'm saying, but we gotta be completely honest. This man, Mr. Kurosaki, is predisposed to some bullshit. So as a wee baby Soul Reaper in the grand scheme of things, very early on in the story, Ichigo was stated to be exceptionally strong. Sure, whatever. When Renji and Byakuya pop up, he gets his pee hole absolutely shredded. Sick. I have no problem with that. But after he fights Renji and Ikkaku, he fights Kenpachi. Now, I knew moving forward that this fight was always pretty odd, as I'm sure a lot of you remember. Like, Ichigo could barely scratch Kenpachi initially in their first fight. Like, Renji kind of gets a good Tensho point blank and he went down. Like, sure, man, I'm fine with that, whatever. Renji is a lieutenant, not even a top tier one. Like, let's keep it all the way a buck. But he trained beforehand, and narratively, it makes sense that he could beat Renji now and serves him, you know, one of the countless L's that Renji is known for. So we go from Renji, who is a bottom tier lieutenant, to then being barely able to scratch Kenpachi because he was scared shitless and had zero confidence finding another captain, much less the absolute behemoth of power that Kenpachi is. It's like, okay, whatever. Ichigo ends up learning a lesson from Zangetsu to rely on his strength as well, and that they need to fight as a team. He needs to understand that Zangetsu is there to assist him, and every battle he fights, they fight it together. He then gets into a clash with Kenpachi, and they both end up taking each other out of the fight. Here's the thing. I already don't like this because super early on, it's shown that Ichigo is at least captain level when he really decides to apply himself. Now, this is chapter 113. Ichigo just took down a captain, which is the same rank as our primary antagonist of the arc, Byakuya. Now, obviously, we know that not all captains are built equally, but it's still kind of, it's strange how strong Ichigo was at this point. Also, it doesn't help the fact that, like, you know, we find out later on in the 1,000-Year Blood War that Kenpachi was still handicapping himself even after he took his eye patch off and shit. Now, I don't think that, you know, Kubo had this in mind when he was writing Kenpachi, because obviously when Kenpachi took the eye patch off there, he was supposed to be at full power. So, like, you know, it's kind of just like, he was just kind of like, you know, giving more character to Kenpachi when he was fighting Unohana, you know what I mean? So, yeah. But I think what's a real spit in the face to me with this fight is that it's revealed that in 1,000-Year Blood War, that old man Zangetsu, the one inside of Ichigo with the glasses, is actually a manifestation of Ichigo's Quincy powers. So in this fight, Ichigo really just tapped into his own latent abilities. Bro, what? And what's crazy is that Ichigo gets so much stronger from this point, but even so early on in the series, he's an absolute powerhouse. He is this cracked so early on, and almost 800 chapters later, we learn that this isn't him relying on his Zanpakuto for support, but rather his own powers within him. Like, that means that if Ichigo really wanted to and had some experience under his belt, he could have fucked up Byakuya and Kenpachi and every single captain in his path if he was truly aware of how strong he was. And mind you, he takes out Kenpachi pre-Bankai as well. Like, I'm completely fine with him defeating Byakuya in his Bankai state because obviously he earned that and it produced one of my favorite panels in Bleach's serialization. But man, the fact that Ichigo is this strong so early on is absolutely wild. And now I understand that when y'all hear this, y'all think, oh, well, Ichigo's only getting defeated this early on in the story because he lacks experience. I know that, and I know that knee-jerk reaction is like, oh, well, that's literally everybody in the story ever. Experience is a make or break. I get that, but a lot of my problems lie with the amount of potential that Ichigo has just by fucking existing. Y'all remember when Unohana is running with Ichigo in the Dankai Precipice world and she is like, hey, your spiritual pressure is about captain level. We aren't that different, so you should probably be okay with this fight with Aizen. And Ichigo is like, oh, I'm not at full power. Like, what do you mean? Like, my cloak only has the right arm. I only have a right arm's amount of cursed energy. Cursed energy. Holy shit. I need to stop making JJK videos. My cloak only has the right arm. I only have a right arm's amount of strength currently. Dude, I was floored when this reveal happened. With only a right arm's amount of Reitsu, whatever the fuck, the energy, the chi system in Bleach, and he's captain level? What? Yo, this shocked me more than when Ichigo tanked the Sokyoku. Like, yeah, it was stated that this thing had the power inside of it of more than 1 million Zanpakuto, but you and I both know that Kubo didn't exactly have everything quote-unquote power scaled properly by this point in the story. But it's still like a crazy feat regardless. Like, if early Ichigo was able to tank this thing, imagine what Grimmjow or Ulquiorra could do to this thing. Or like any of the Squad Zero, like what they would be able to do. Like, Ichigo would literally snap this thing in half with his big toe if he wanted to. So this fight becomes pretty after you think about it from a retrospective viewpoint, but it's still very impressive though. I will give it to Ichigo. One of the biggest things about Ichigo is the fact that not only is he part hollow from birth, by the way, but he's also part Quincy, and he's able to use Fullbring. Like, I promise you, if there was another race introduced into Bleach, Ichigo would have at least a cousin, a grandfather, or some random sibling that appeared out of nowhere and was a descendant of that particular race. Ichigo is predestined to so much greatness, it is not even funny. And it really takes me out of the story later on. Like, the stronger Ichigo gets, the more frustrated I get with a lot of the battles that he has, because his power set is fucking boring. Like, I already know that I do not like Ichigo's Bankai. I think its design is easily S tier, but I'll be damned if that shit isn't the most redundant shit in the entire manga sphere, okay? Like, understand something. So Ichigo, how does he primarily defeat his opponents? With raw strength and raw Reitsu, right? Like, there's not a lot of tact or anything like that. And the little tech that he did use against, Yuhabaha, like, gave him to charge up his hollow point, whatever, so you use the Horn of Salvation. That's cool, but that didn't even really do anything. You know what I mean? That, like, Yuhabaha was still like, what the fuck is this? Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, literally, Ichigo was like, it's over, like, 3 times during that fight, man, and he had to rely on Aizen to get the final kill. Aizen and Uryu, you know what I mean? Dude, you look at so many of the captains in Bleach, and look at their fights. Like, okay, check it out. Look at Grimmjow versus Kenpachi, right? Again, y'all know me. I made this analogy before, but Kenpachi is a powerhouse, just like Ichigo. But I like his fight with Gremmy more because Gremmy has a really interesting ability. Did I say Grimmjow before? Whatever. But, like, look at Gremmy. Gremmy has a very interesting ability where, like, anything he thinks can happen. But Kenpachi is so strong, he just keeps tanking it and eating it. I think it's really cool. I think it's really interesting. But, like, even like with Ulquiorra, man, like, Ichigo literally had a hole in his chest. He was about to die, and then, oh man, Hollow Ichigo comes out, Vasto Lord, and which is hype. It's cool. I like it, but like there's no, Ichigo has never used a bit of tact or used his intellect or brain in any of his fights. It's always just swing harder, swing harder, swing harder. And the sword choreography isn't really all that good in Bleach either. Like I get it, like it's kind of hard. Like I'm not expecting like Vagabond or some, you know, kind of shit like that. But man, I can only take so many Getsuga shows, man. And then when you look at me in my face and you tell me, oh, Ichigo's true Shikai, it's the two swords, it's Getsuga Jihosho. It's the same shit. What are you talking about? You want to know who has the reputation of being a one-trick pony and only has, like, you know, one thing in the repertoire? Goku, right? Now, everybody usually thinks, oh, Goku has a Kamehameha, that's the only thing he has. He doesn't. Obviously, he has the solar flare. He has a Destructo disc. He has like the speed clones or whatever like that. He has the spirit bomb. He literally has the instant transmission. He has all these things at his disposal that he can use. A dragon fist, now whether or not it's canon, whatever like that. Even like the God Bind, right, from the Broly movie. Goku has all of these things that he has at his disposal, and Ichigo just has this one attack, and then oh boy, when in like the middle of the series he could use his hollow form and make it a stronger Getsuga Tensho. Oh boy, I do not care. Just God. Oh my god, then we get to Ichigo's true Bankai, and Kubo literally was like, what? Kubo was really begging Jump to let him be done because of his back injury. So he doesn't even go into the fact of what Ichigo's true Bankai is, because Yhwach just breaks it before he can do anything. Oh my god, bro. Dude, Ichigo's fights are so uninteresting and creatively bankrupt compared to the rest of the fights in the series. It's ridiculous. I do not understand. Like, peep game, and this is like one of the biggest issues that I have with Aizen post Hogyoku. Peep game. So you know how like Aizen, like he had that whole reveal and he was like, oh wait, what makes you think I didn't know everything that was happening from Jump? And it's revealed that Aizen was watching Ichigo this entire time, blah, 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 whatever, right? Cool, sick. As soon as Aizen absorbs the Hogyoku, or the Hogyoku, however you say that shit, you know what I mean, he does not use any of his Shikai, his Bankai, nothing. He does nothing. So as soon as he fights Ichigo, it's literally just raw power. When Ichigo hits him with the final Getsuga Tensho and post Dankai Precipice Ichigo, it's literally just pure strength. Why? I literally think it's because Kubo could not think of anything else of how Ichigo could beat him, right? Final Getsuga Tensho, that's cool, man. I mean, like, whatever. You know what I mean? Mugetsu looks cool. I love the design. I wish I would have seen it more. But, bro, oh my god, why did Aizen not use anything else? Why did Aizen use literally none of his other abilities? Why? It doesn't make sense. I just don't get it, man. I don't get it. I don't get it, man. So yeah, listen, never mind the fact that Ichigo is just predisposed to just all this bullshit and all these other things that just like, it's very hard. It would be very hard for him to fail, and he did fail quite a bit during Bleach. Again, I understand that he fell into despair a lot, but the raw potential and the raw amount of spiritual pressure that he has is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm just, it's not exactly the Z Fighter and Goku situation where like, oh, well, the Z Fighters, they gotta wait for Goku to come so Goku can actually put the work in and whatever else like that. Because the 1,000 Year Blood War is definitely not that, right? Obviously, all the captains and everybody want Ichigo to fight Yhwach, but everybody else is still dealing with Yhwach's lieutenants and all these things. So I think it's fine. I think I give it a pass, but it's just very, very frustrating, man. Very frustrating. I just and then here, some smart ass is gonna tell me is that, oh, you think Ichigo's too strong, too predisposed, why you hate Invincible because Invincible's so weak. It's because Invincible is the polar opposite. He just sucks in everything. In the show, it's shown that he's not training. And now, it was shown that he was training in the comics. He was still getting ripped by the Reanimen post his meeting later on with Omni-Man. So what the fuck are we actually talking about? You know what I mean? And like Mark didn't never develop like a signature fighting style or anything like that. And I'm not saying he needs to like be on some Spider-Man and Way of the Spider shit. That's not what I'm saying. I'm literally saying like, it's just like Mark is the biggest punch kick merchant you could ever imagine. And like it just I would say Naruto as well is much better in terms of being predisposed to some of this stuff. Now, obviously, y'all know I hate the Ashura Indra stuff. I've said this in like 20 videos at this point. But even still, like Naruto, you know, being the Nine Tails Jinchuriki and being the son of the fourth Hokage and all this, yeah, he's still predisposed. But Naruto, I feel like Naruto struggled a lot more with his training, a lot of these different things that he did. Now also Naruto has a pretty spotless like fight record. Besides, like, well, it was like his fight with Sasuke and like. I also cannot stand the reveal of how Ichigo was found out to be a Quincy. Like, quite literally, Yhwach is about to deliver the final blow and kill him, right? He about to stab him directly in his neck and end his life, and then he has Blood Vene activate, right? And then we get the reveal that Ichigo's part Quincy. There could have been a million different things that could have been implemented for us as the audience to speculate or reveal that Ichigo's mom was a Quincy or something like that, but this is actual plot armor. Like I'm so serious. Like Yhwach could not break the plot armor, and Ichigo never does this again, ever. He never activates Blood Vene ever again. Was that it? Was his fight with Sasuke in part 1 the only fight Naruto ever lost? Oh wow! I just realized that. Whoo! That's tough. That's tough. Anyway, I'm done ranting. I don't like Ichigo's power set. I kind of just don't like a lot of things surrounding Ichigo. I like Ichigo. That's my guy. I like him, but man, oh my god, I hate it.